Hello, everybody. It's me again. Um, I'm going to read you two chapters today, chapters 6 and 7, because chapter 6, rather like chapter 4, is really very short and only takes a minute or two. And the main chapter is really chapter 7. So here we go. Chapter 6, 11 explanations for the disappearance of Kieran Wakefield, from most to least likely. Number 1, he was horribly injured during the warm-up. Number 2, Leon Belmonte got jealous and locked him in the changing room. Number 3, the manager wanted to rest him for the upcoming match against Barcelona. Number 4, he is secretly a crime-fighting superhero and duty called. Number 5, he was abducted by aliens. Number 6, he ate something that disagreed with him. Number 7, he had to go back to England for an important occasion. Number 8, he got lost down one of the corridors in the Bernabeu. Number 9, he had an argument with the manager. Number 10, he got stage fright. And number 11, his boots were faulty. Chapter 7, all shook up. In the morning, I can barely keep my eyes open. Luckily, the machines are really loud, so it's impossible to fall asleep, but every few minutes I feel my head dropping, and I have to make an effort to concentrate. Apparently, we're behind on a big order, so all the stations are working at full speed, and the foreman strides along the rows telling us to work faster. There is a big damp patch on the back of his shirt, and every few minutes he takes a handkerchief from his pocket and wipes his face. "Come on, Boody, you're slowing down." I try to focus on the boot in front of me, but the stitches seem to blur into one another. I feel lightheaded, and the constant whir of sewing machines makes me dizzy. When the foreman next walks along my row, I put my hand up. "What is it, Boody?" he asks. "Why have you stopped? Is there a problem with your machine?" "Bapak, could I please go outside and get some air?" A bead of sweat trickles down my cheek, and as I look at the foreman, his face twists into a smile. "Of course you can, Boody." I stand up. His face drops into a scowl. "During your break. We haven't got time to play games today. If you're too lazy to do a bit of hard work, then you can easily be replaced." I sit down because I feel as though my legs are about to give way. A hot, prickly sensation spreads across my neck, as though someone is sewing my skin. "How long is it until my break, Bapak?" The foreman looks at the clock. 2 hours. And if I see you leave your station before then, don't bother coming back." He strides away, but every few minutes he returns and watches me work. I keep telling myself that I mustn't fall asleep. I remember when a new girl dozed off at her station, and the foreman was so angry that he dragged her out by her hair. But the heat makes everything heavy. My hands, my head, my eyelids. All I want is to rest against the workbench for a long nap. My head jerks up. I panic. My heart races. The sudden jolt makes my fingers slip, and before I can take my foot off the pedal, the needle slashes into my fingertip. Pain slices through me. I gasp in silent shock. I'm desperate not to cry in front of Roshi, but tears rush to my eyes. Blood seeps across the upper. I try to free it from my machine without drawing any attention, but others are already glancing over. Then a shadow falls over my workbench. I don't need to turn around to know who is standing there. A sour, smoky smell gusts over my shoulder. "What's going on here?" the foreman asks. I finally dislodge the upper, still attached to my hand from beneath the needle. The foreman snatches it from me, ripping the stitches out of my fingertip. Fresh blood runs down my finger. At the edge of my teary vision, the colourful material flaps about in the foreman's hand as he inspects it. The boots are the yellow and orange ones that Kieran Wakefield has been wearing this season. The foreman tosses the upper onto the workbench next to my machine. It's ruined, he says. I nod without turning around. This one will have to be thrown away, he says. I nod again. This is unacceptable, he says. I start to nod, but flinch as I hear the unmistakable swish of the rotan. It's a strange thing. When the rotan hits you on the fleshy part of your arm, you don't feel the pain immediately. There's a moment of shock, like being drenched with a bucket of ice-cold water. And then the shock disappears and a stinging, searing pain spreads across your body. The muscle on the back of your arm twitches. Your whole body shivers. And the only thought your brain can process is, how can something hurt so much and not bleed on the inside? It's because of this shock that it takes me a moment to realize I haven't been hit. Roshi, the foreman shouts, what are you looking at? Why have you stopped working? Roshi quickly feeds another piece of material into his sewing machine, wincing hard against the red welt that's rising on the back of his arm. As for you, Budi, the foreman shouts, pulling me round by the shoulder to face him, do you know how much these boots sell for? More than $200 a pair. You probably don't even know how much money that is, do you? He throws his head back, and I get a glimpse of his yellow teeth, his slimy tongue, his endless laughing mouth. Ha! Now listen to me, he says, suddenly serious, pressing his face close to mine. You make another mistake like that, and you are out of here, you understand? You're already behind, and if you don't make today's quota, I'm throwing you onto the street. He straightens up and runs a hand through his greasy hair. I'll be watching you. I turn back to my machine, and then I hear another swish. And this one is for me. My heart surges up into my throat. I feel as though I'm about to be sick. The burning pain shoots around my body with every heartbeat. I scrunch my face against the sting and try to ride it out. You never get used to it. It gets more painful every time. It hurts so much that it feels as though the ground is shaking beneath my feet. Then I hear people scream and realize the ground is shaking. I look up and see the light swinging from the ceiling, showering the workbenches with dust and grit. Quiet, the foreman shouts, shadows dancing across his face. It's only a tremor. Keep working. The tremor is over in an instant. The lights continue to swing, but otherwise it's almost as though it never happened. The pain in my arm begins to fade, but it leaves behind a dull headache that makes me frown. Before I start on the next upper, I tie a piece of thread around my fingertip to stop the bleeding. I suck the blood from the cuts. It looks as though something has bitten me, something with 3 razor-sharp teeth. I can feel the foreman's eyes burning into me from up on the walkway, but I don't look around once. I work as fast as I can, but it's hard because I have to keep my bloody finger away from the boots so I don't stain them. Every few minutes, I have to stop and suck the blood, which makes my mouth taste like a rusty fence. When the buzzer finally goes at the end of the day, I still have 3 pairs of boots to stitch to meet my quota. Everyone else gets up and shuffles towards the exit. Within minutes, I'm the only one left in the room. There is no noise except for the beeping of scooters outside and the purring of my machine. I finish stitching the last upper and place it on the pile on the workbench. As I arch my back, the burning feeling in my shoulders gets hotter before fading away. My neck clicks. A door slams above me, and I spin around to see the foreman twisting a key in his office door. He takes a few steps along the walkway before he notices me. Budi, he says, frowning slightly. You're still here? Did you fulfill your quota? Yes, Bapak. Well, what are you waiting for? Go home. Yes, Bapak. I walk towards the exit as the lights go out, row by row. At the door, I turn back and see the tip of the foreman's cigarette glowing in the darkness. Roshi is waiting for me outside. Sorry I got you caned, I said. It's okay, it wasn't your fault. We compare welts. Roshi's is the colour his Manchester United shirt should be. I found out why Wakefield didn't play last night, he said. My breath catches in my chest. Here we go. This is it. He injured a muscle in his thigh during the warm-up, but apparently it's not too serious. I breathe out and feel my body relax. What was the final score? We won 4-1. Belmonte scored 2 goals. Cool. When's the next match? Tomorrow, against Sevilla. Will Wakefield be fit enough to play? Roshi shrugs. I don't know. Probably not. But hopefully he'll be back in time for El Clasico next weekend. El Clasico is when Real Madrid play Barcelona. It's the most important fixture of the season. To lose at El Clasico and to lose an El Clasico match would be a disaster. I suppose you don't feel like playing a match tonight? Roshi asks. I shake my head. I just want to go home and sleep. Me too. I'll see you in the morning. We go our separate ways, and as I pass the street stalls, I wonder what I've got for dinner. Then I remember that it's Friday, and we don't have dinner on a Friday, and definitely not when Dad is still waiting to be paid. When I get home, Grandma is asleep and Dad is still at work. Mum covers the cuts on my fingertip and knee with coconut butter, and while she's not looking, I eat a scoop for the bruise on the back of my arm. Then I head to my room. You need to be more careful, she calls as I lie down on the mattress. I know, I say sleepily. Everything will be fine when I'm a footballer. Coconuts don't grow on trees, you know. I can tell Mum is smiling as she says it. Yes, they do. Mum says something else, but I don't catch it, and it's too much effort to ask her to repeat herself. My eyelids droop, but before I fall asleep, I notice a small crack in the center of the ceiling. I wonder how far away the tremor was felt.